finding necessarily or this is what I find important for me.
So all of us have some kind of story of who we are. As much as it starts with you, remember it starts with me.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me, Joel, back again. Welcome to It Starts With Me. I'm glad to be here with you. I'm really excited about the topic that we have going on today because it's all about what's it worth? How much is it worth? And let's just jump into it. I mean, what exactly does that mean? I was doing my studies and I was thinking about it. While I was doing my studies, I came across the scripture, or it came to my heart, and I went directly to it. And it was like, in Matthew, and it just talks about, not laying up for yourselves, the treasures on the earth. And I thought to myself, like, what exactly does that mean? When we think about this, there's so many different things, especially when I'm thinking about, the American culture, the Western society. We are hoarders of beautiful things, and when I say we, I mean me and, so many others. We're always looking for that next new thing. It's like, it's got to be so important to us that we are willing to work 2, 3, 4 jobs to be able to have whatever it is. And when you go into, third world countries or visiting these second world countries, it's not always the same thing. You're not able to do that. Now, I know that there's different societies and different levels of society and the different cultures and countries of the world. So I'll be more specific to, how I feel about where we are right now in America. And it's really one of those things where, success is driven by what you're willing to give, the sacrifices that you're willing to offer. And when it comes down to it, it's like, well, what is it worth? What is it all worth? And I think that that's an honest question, because in that same place of scriptures, it talks about the treasures of the heart, and where, your treasure is, that's where your heart will be found. And it's like, well, what is the value of that? What is the value of what I treasure? I think about like a cartoon, an old Disney cartoon, I think it was Scrooge McDuck, and he had this vault of money, and he swam through the gold coins, and he was able to count every single coin because he was just so smart and so rich, and this vault is what he had secured. He had it locked up so that nobody would ever be able to get his money. And people were always attempting to take from him, to take the money that he had stored, to do whatever it was, and Scrooge put this money above so many different things, and this was a cartoon version. So it's an adaptation to somebody's thought in their mind. But now, where is your treasure? Where's my treasure for that matter? And when you think about that, it's like, okay, so that I'm going on this journey for success, right? My journey for success, and I'm willing to sacrifice everything. And is that really what you're willing to sacrifice? Because everything may include your family. Does everything include your kids? Does it include your wife? Or are they a part of the treasure? And then some of us, sometimes what we'll say is, well, I'm doing it for my kids. I'm doing it for my wife. I'm doing it for my family. But then the time that we spend, everybody gets 24 hours in the day unless somebody has a time machine, so everyone gets the same 24 hours. And if we're only getting 24 hours, then, what exactly are we doing with that 24 hours? If I sleep for 6 hours, I'm down to 18. And if I'm grinding it out for 12 to 16 hours, I am literally just leaving myself 4 to 6 more hours to do what? Is that the time that I'm eating? Is that the time that, I'm driving to and from someplace? And then, what about my children? What about my wife? What about my health? What about my mind? So where is my treasure? What's the value of it? What's the value of what I believe in? Have I cast aside my God? in search of my wealth? And how many of us are finding ourselves on this pathway to gain extreme amounts of wealth, and we're losing our health, we're losing our family along the way? You know, yesterday I came home, and I want you to catch this. I want you to catch this because I came home from one job. And this morning I'm going to another job, you know, and it's early in the morning, you know, it's early in the morning. It's pretty early in the morning. It's like, it's 4:00 in the morning. I've been up for a while now, you know, and it's like, I'm going to a place, and I came from a place, and it took me a 2-hour plus, almost 3-hour drive to get back here, you know. And then by the time I got to sleep, it's only like 4 hours of getting to sleep. But I'm looking at my son, you know, I hear the boom, 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 the basketball in the backyard. I hear him. And I'm talking about in my suit. I go outside, jacket's still on. And we play, you know, takeaway. And it's like, this is what I'm doing it for. If I could spend 2 hours on a drive, 3 hours on a drive, or I could take a flight for 2 or 3 hours to go and to get to a place that's going to allow me to have more time and to spend that time with my son, then why wouldn't I just drive right here and spend the time? What is it worth? It's worth everything. My son's only so old right now. There's gonna be one day when maybe he doesn't want to talk with me. Maybe he doesn't want to hang out with me. God forbid. What about my daughter? To see her face and the giggle. Last night we were giggling and everything, and I'm staying up way beyond how late I should stay up. But then what is it worth, right? You know, like, I got to get to bed. Why? So that I can wake up and grind. Is that all you do? I mean, don't get me wrong. You got to have focus. We have to have focus. We have to apply focus to get where we desire to be. But everything can't be about that. Like, I'm looking at the tomorrow and what the tomorrow will be. But what about now? Because my now is going to disappear. It's going to be gone. Now is the present. It is the present. It's the greatest present that we'll ever have, because this is the reality, is living in the now. Tomorrow is not promised. I could die on my way to work. I could die at my work. But now is the time that I have to spend that quality time to kiss my wife, to love on my children, to make that phone call to my mom or to my dad, to do something now. And see, that's where it's at right there. That's really where it's at. When it all comes down to it, it's like, that's where I need to be at. And so I thought about it, right? So now listen to this. In the book of Psalms, the 37th chapter, 4th verse, it's like, delight thyself in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. Boom. So now here goes the heart part again. The treasures of your heart, the things that you value, are locked up inside of your heart. It's your treasure. It's your money vault. But only it doesn't have to have just money in it, because you don't have to be a Scrooge. Maybe it's got your God inside there. Maybe it's got your wife inside there. Maybe it's got your children inside there. Maybe it's got your faith inside there. It's got all these different things inside there. And because those are the things that you value, then by trusting, delighting yourself in God, and this is where I come in, you know, I'm going to delight myself in God. Like, I'm going to give my time to God, you know, I'm going to give that time. And because of that, he keeps on giving me more opportunities to do the things that I really treasure. What is that? I treasure my family. I treasure my service. I treasure my friends. I treasure my faith. And because of that, it keeps opening the door. And then what else? I also treasure my entrepreneurial journey. So what does he do? He keeps on expanding that. And I found that the more that I delight myself in my God, the more he opens the doors up for the things that I really enjoy. I really treasure. Because I switched the value system. I navigated away from chasing a dollar to being satisfied with the treasure of my heart. It does not take away from the work effort that I put into to get where I desire to be. It just means that, honey, listen, if I value $1 million and that value is greater than my children, at some point in time, I am saying that I'm buying my children out for $1 million. Is that what my children are worth? I know somebody's missing that. And I hope you're not missing it. I hope you're not missing it. Let me put it to you this way. If I value going out and sleeping around, then what I'm saying is that sleeping around is a greater value than my wife. Ew. Can't be. I say, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. Stop sleeping around. Stop sleeping around. You don't love them. You don't love your wife like you say you do. Because if you love your wife like you say you do, then the value should increase. There should only be your wife in that vault. Not random women. Can't have random women inside of your heart. Can't have just money inside of your heart. Can't have nice cars inside of you. That's all that's in your heart. Is all you think about is the Maybachs, the Lambos, the hanging out all night. That's what you value. Those things they're going to dissolve. You can't even take those things into the grave with you. And by the time you get to the grave, you may find out that your heart was just as empty as that grave is that they're putting you in. So it's all about the value system. And we got to check this value system. We got to put the value system back in line, because you know who controls what goes into the vault? Just like Scrooge McDuck controlled how the money that was in his vault. We control it. We control what we put inside of our heart. So you got to claim that thing today. What's in my heart? What do I value? You need to write it down. You need to figure it out, because it's so important. It means everything, because your whole life it revolves around what you value. And if you value life, if you value your wife, if you value your children, if you value your successes, you got to put those things in priority, and you got to put them in order. You got to know what you're looking for. You got to know what you're running towards. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're attempting to capture, because what you think about, you will eventually move towards. You will bring about what you speak. You will manifest the things that are in your heart, because out of the heart come the issues of man. And when you begin to speak, what you love will show up in your tongue. It'll show up in your praise. It'll show up in your conversation. The things that you love, you will always be talking about. And you will have people around you that love to hear that conversation, because they value those things also. So if you're hanging around people and the only thing that they ever talk about is going out and doing something that is wrong or something that you don't believe in, you need to recheck your own value system, because maybe what you are seeing is a reflection of yourself. What's it worth, y'all? What's it all worth? I don't know. Wherever you guys are out there, this is just a thought. Tell me what you think about this thought. Put it inside of the chat. Tell me, what do you value? What means everything to you? What are you willing to give up everything for? And tell me, are you doing that? Peace, y'all.